My name's Paul Shogren. I work at the Regional Tribunal of Queensland. I'm a canon lawyer. And what's the process required to have a marriage annulled, and do the circumstances, are they from before the marriage or from after it? The process to have a marriage declared null, which is a better way of putting it, is quite simple really. The tribunal has the task of obtaining as much proof as we can about a person's claim that his or her marriage is null, and then deciding if that claim can stand. So, we do what any inquiry would do. We firstly ask the person making the claim to explain why they think it's so. Then naturally we tell the other party what their former spouse is claiming about their marriage, and we ask for this person's view of things. Now, anybody who has spent time asking a couple about their failed marriage would know that getting agreement on what their life was like is fairly rare. Therefore, we approach people nominated by both of them to tell us what they know about the couple. And finally, a decision is made by a court, usually comprised of 3 judges, about whether nullity is proven. The process may use familiar sounding names like judge and witness, but there's no standing in a courtroom to be cross-examined. There's no judges in wigs and robes looking on. The judges generally do not see the people involved face to face. All they ever see is the evidence given in the form of a record of interview. Now, of course, a fairly complex set of procedural rules is developed, so make sure that this process, as we search for the truth, is given its best chance, that people's rights are respected, and the marriage, which, as I said before, enjoys the favour of the law, is given all the respect it deserves. To this end, we even have a person whose title is the defender of the bond, whose job it is to argue as much as they can, as reasonably as they can, that a particular marriage was valid. Now, and if a person does not agree with the decision of a tribunal, they can appeal to an interstate tribunal, or they can appeal to the Roman Rota to have their decision, if they have reasonable grounds, to have that decision reviewed by way of appeal. The Roman Rota is, I suppose, like the marriage section of the Supreme Court for the entire Catholic world. You may recall that I said divorce is about what happens at the end, annulment's about what happened at the beginning. But of course, common sense would tell you that problems at the start aren't always obvious at that time, and it may take a while for those issues to raise their nasty little heads. So of course, we need to see what happened in the days or the months or the years that followed the wedding, to see if we can obtain an insight into the couple on the day of their wedding. So, for the tribunal, those things that occurred prior to marriage hold great interest for us. Those things happening afterwards, sad as they may be, only hold interest for us if they can provide an insight into the couple's respective consents on the day of the wedding. The best source of information about marriage nullity and the tribunal is the tribunal. You would never decide whether or not you had an inoperable brain tumour on the basis of what you found on the internet. At least I hope you wouldn't. So please don't decide whether or not your marriage is null based on the wise counsel of that well-known canon lawyer, Dr. Google.